So the long division. That's the first thing we're going to start working on in this section. Let's see. So here's the general form. What does that mean? F of x divided by d of x is the division. You're dividing f of x. So f of x is the polynomial. So you can write down here the polynomial, f of x, which is here. Here, this one is the f of x. We're trying to divide f of x by d of x. That means this one is d of x, which is the divisor. The polynomial, the divisor. So if I want to write down this, but I have here the long division, so it's going to be the same thing. You're saying 2x cubed minus 11x squared plus 13x plus 15. Everything divided by 2x minus 5. That's what you're doing. It's the same thing. Now, the result from the long division, we're going to do it next step. It's going to be what? The quotient, which is q of x. R of x is the remainder. Okay? D of x is the divisor, the same thing. So when you do the long division, if you can't divide anymore, it's going to be the remainder. And the divisor, it's the same thing here. This is the divisor here. It exists, the same one. We're trying to divide this polynomial by this binomial. Okay? That's what we're going to do. So using the long division, it's just like simple steps you just have to follow. Write down. The first step, always check. Do you have missing term? Do I have missing term here? No x, x1, x2, x3. There is no missing term. You see, 3, 2, 1, 0. There is no missing term. If there is missing term, that's going to be a different thing. We just put 0x in the missing term. It depends about which term. If we're missing this term, we're going to put 0x. If we're missing this term, we're going to put 0x squared. The idea, we're going to do also an example. So every time when there is a missing term, which term you're going to put 0 and the power on that term, okay? We're going to do an example. First of all, we're going to start with this one. I'm just going to do the long division exactly what we do with the numbers. So it's going to be the divisor, which is 2x minus 5. And here is the polynomial, which is 2x cubed minus 11x squared plus 13x plus 15. Is that okay so far? We're not doing anything. We're just doing like this one divided by this one. Okay? Now let's start with the step by step. Just look. Always, I'm going to look to the first term. That's my goal. This one, divide by this one. We do it on the side, so you're not going to do mistakes. This term, I'm always start from this one, divide by this one. So let's say 2x cubed, divide by what?
2x.
2x. What's the result?
3.
What do you mean 3? 2 divided by 2?
Oh, 1.
1. X cubed minus 1 is going to be x squared. You're going to minus it, okay? So what's the left? It's x squared. Is that okay? When are we going to write down the x squared? Here. X squared. Is that okay so far? We're not doing anything. We divide the first term here by the first term here. The result is x squared. We're going to divide the numbers and minus the exponent. This is one of the exponent rule. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay? Now, next step. I'm going to multiply now. X squared times 2x. Going to be 2x cubed. Yes or no? Now I'm multiplying what I got here with this one. And then I have to multiply it with this one. Now x squared times -5 negative 5x squared. Is that okay so far? Next step, before I start moving. Next step, what I'm going to do, change the sign. What's the sign here? Positive, change it to negative. What's the sign here? Negative, change it to positive. Okay? For this term, what's going to happen? It'll cancel. Because 2x cubed minus 2x cubed, gone, 0. And this one, negative 11 plus 5 is going to be negative 6x squared. Okay, so far? Step. We have to
by 2x.
okay. Well, that's good. But we're not going to start from here. We're going to bring down the new term here. So plus 13x. Okay? And we're going to do the process again. Which term now? I'm done from this step. This is my new step here. This is the first term. And here's the other one. So I'm going to say negative 6x squared divided by what? 2x. Now negative 6 divided by 2, negative 3. Yes or no? X squared minus 1, 2 minus 1, that's mean x. Is that okay? Next step. Yeah, but you're going to multiply the whole thing. Be careful. You're going to multiply only this one with this. You're going to multiply x squared. This is done. New step is negative 3x. Negative 3x times 2x will be negative 6x squared. Negative 3x times negative 5, 15x. Okay. Now what's the next step? Change the sign. So this one is going to be cancelled. 13 minus 15, negative 2x. Okay, so far? Again, when you multiply the new term here, you're going to multiply by both these numbers. Okay, so far? Let's repeat the steps. Now, what was the next step? Bring the 15 down. So it's going to be plus 15. We're going to do the steps again. Negative 2x divided by 2x. What was the result? Negative?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. So I'm going to write down here negative 1. Again, now the new steps. Going to be going to multiply negative 1 here and negative 1 here. So negative 1 times 2x will be negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 5. And change the sign to plus. This one's going to be minus. This one's going to be cancelled. Now 15 minus 5. 10. I have another term to bring it down. So let's go back here. This is the polynomial f of x. This is the divisor, right? This one is the quotient, which is the result here. So if we need to write down the result, it's going to be The quotient Q of an x is x squared minus 3x minus 1. Okay? This is a Q of an x. The whole thing here now is a Q of an x. We already know this is what? F of an x. And this is what? Q of an x, the divisor. Okay? So the result for the division is going to be Q of an x. Where is the Q of an x? Here. So this is Q of an x. What else? Plus. It's a plus. R of an x. What's R of an x? Which is? This is R of an x. So it's going to be 10 over. Q of an x is what? The divisor, which is 2x minus 5. Is that okay? Let's follow the map here. Here are the steps. Always, the first step before you start the long division, check if you have missing term. 3, 2, 1, 0. So there is no missing term. Let's see next example, what we're going to do if we have missing term. Now, let's check the second one. I need to divide this one by this one. So I already know this is what? This is f of x, and this one is d of x. So kind of, you can write down as f of x over d of x equal the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. This is the rule. That means the long division is going to be x to the power 5 minus 3x to the power 4 plus 12x minus 33, and everything is going to be divided by x minus 3. Okay? So f of x divided by d of x. The result is going to be here. Now let's do the long division here. On this side, I'm going to put x minus 3. Here. Do we have missing term? Yes. 5, 4, we're missing the 3, and we're missing the 2, and here is 1. So how I'm going to write it down? I say x to the power 5 minus 3x to the power 4 plus 0x cubed plus 0x squared plus a 12x minus you're not doing this step, it's going to be wrong. Always the missing term, write down 0 plus the term. Cubed, I'm going to put 0x cubed. And I'm missing the squared, I'm going to put 0x squared. Now, next step, we're going to divide. The first term, x to the power 5, divide by x. It's x to the power 5, divide by x, is going to be x to the power 4. Now, x to the power 4 times x to the power 5. X to the power 4 times 3, it's 3x to the power. Change the sign, plus, minus, and here's the plus. What's going to happen? Cancel out. Cancel out both. Here's 0. So what's the next term? I'm going to bring it down.
2x.
This is not going to affect. If I bring down the 0, it's still 0. I can't divide it by x. So I have 0, 0. I'm going to go here. So I'm going to bring down this term, which is 12x. And I can't use one term. I have to use the other one. Is that okay? Remember on previous example, when we have one term, I can divide one term by just x. What about the 3? So I have to bring two terms, 12x and 3. So now when I'm dividing, I'm going to divide only the 12. That means 12x divided by x is going to be what? 12. So how much I'm going to write down here?
So it's 12.
That's a 12. Now 12 times x. 12 times 3. Change the sign, plus minus, plus, this is cancelled. How much is going to be here? So now, let's go back again. This one is what? You open x. This one is open x. This one is you open x. So the result is going to be x to the power 4 plus 12 plus the remainder, which is 3 divided by the divisor is x minus. So check the formula. We already know this is the general formula, right? Which is dividing the polynomial by the divisor equal the quotient, the remainder divided by the divisor. I'm telling you, alpha of x, the polynomial itself, it came from multiplying the divisor by what? By the quotient. And you're gonna add the remainder. What does that mean? That means, oh yes, that means this one, the divisor is a factor of the polynomial. The divisor is a factor. So when you have polynomial with degree 10, one of the factors is the divisor. The divisor is going to multiply by the quotient. So if you divide the polynomial by the divisor, you're going to get the quotient, and then you're going to factor the polynomial by saying, okay, I'm just going to put the quotient times the divisor, going to be 2 factors plus the remainder. The idea, and that's the process. Don't overthink it. You just need to. But that's the same process. We're going to use it on the synthetic division when we're trying to factor polynomial. Just going to give you an idea. It's going to be easier than this one. Okay, you don't have to put the x and. Now let's go to this example to see again the process, and then we're going to jump to the other method. Don't confuse yourself. It's the same process, even if you have trinomial here. You're just gonna write down this one divided by this one. But check, do you have missing term here? 3, 2, 1, 0. So there is no missing term. So we're gonna do the same process. Here is going to be x squared minus 3x plus 4. And here is going to be 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 16x plus 2. Now we're going to do the same thing again. Divide the first one, which is 2x cubed divided by x squared. So what's left from here? 2 divided by 1 is 2. 3 minus 2. Let's multiply this part with the 3 terms. 2x times x squared, 2x cubed. 2x times 3x squared. 2x times 4, 8x. Okay? Now next step, you're gonna change the sign. This is a plus, going to be minus. This is the plus, this is minus. So this is cancelled. 2 plus 6, 8x squared. Negative 16 minus 8, Is it okay? Now what I have to do, break down last term. Now 8x squared divided by x squared. So what's the left? Just 8. Now 8 times x squared is x squared. 8 times -3, negative 24x. 8 times 4, change the sign. 0, 0. So how much is the remainder? This is the quotient of x. Okay, so far. So now I'm going to use the long division. We already have the solution with long division. And let's see what's the difference. We're going to divide this one by this one. Careful. So the divisor is what? The divisor is a factor of the polynomial. Keep this one in your mind because we're going to use it next section. The divisor is one of the zeros of the polynomial. This is one of the zeros here, okay? Next section, when we factor it, we're going to see that. But now, let's use the simple division. Always the same step. Do we have missing terms? Yes. Which is 3 and 2. Also, we're going to put zeros. So I'm going to create this small. Okay. Now let's write down only the numbers. 1, -3. I'm missing 2 terms here, right? So I'm going to put 0 and 0. Yes or no? Because I'm missing the x squared and the x cubed. I'm going to put zeros. What's next? 12. What's next? Okay, so far? Without putting any x, without doing anything, we're just going to put and go down. Here's the important part. X minus 3. Write down this one. X minus 3. I'm going to write down like this. I'm going to say x minus 3, let's say equals 0. So how much the value of x? 3. I'm going to write down on this side 3. If you put -3, it's going to be wrong. Okay? Is that okay so far? I'll start with the next step. Next step. The first number is going to go down. Always. Don't worry about that. The first number, you're just going to put it down.
Doesn't matter what it is.
What?
Doesn't matter what number it is.
It doesn't matter. If it's a million, put it down. Just put it down. Now, 3 times multiplying. 3 times 1, 3. Now we're going to add these two numbers. -3 plus 3, 0. Now with 3 times 0, 0. 0 plus 0. Now with 3 times 0, 0 plus 0. 3 times 0, 12 plus 0. 12 plus 0. 3 times 12. Add these together. Is that okay? I feel it's more cool than the long division.
The first step was going 12 minus 0? Or,
No, add.
oh, I'm sorry, like, what's the first step?
The first step, write down this.
Okay, and then?
And then you're gonna multiply. 3 times 1,
Okay.
you're gonna put it here. Then add in. Add and multiply. Add and multiply. Always multiply the result with the 3. You got it?
Yes.
Then you're gonna add this one with this one is 0. Then the 0 here, 3 times 0 is going to be 0. 0 plus 0, 0. And this is new 0. 3 times 0, 0. This one, the new one. And 0 plus 0, 0. Then 3 times 0, 12 plus 0, 12. Now 3 times 12, 36. Negative 33 plus 36 is going to be 3. Okay? Because we have too many zeros here. I don't know why they start with this example. That's cool. Okay. Now let's work with the next step. Here's the next step. Remember, if you go back to the previous example, the same solution, how much the remainder? We already solved this one. No,
Just kidding. 0.
no,
3.
3. Is that the same number? So what does that mean? After you doing the scientific division, the last number, if it's 0, that means there is no remainder. If it's number, this is going to be the remainder. So I always, you will see me, I'm put circle here. This is R of an X. Okay? Now let's go back again. Let's write down again. This one, and from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is going to be X to the power 4. I'm going to tell you why. 4. This is going to be X, 3. This one is going to be X. This one is going to be X. And this one is what? Constant. You got it? So always start from here. Don't confuse yourself. Don't confuse yourself. You can see it. This is the remainder, right? The next number is going to be the constant, the number by itself. Okay? Don't fill out this one. We're already dividing. We need to reduce it. Okay? That's our goal. We need to reduce this one to a lower so we can factor it. Okay? That's our goal. So this is the remainder. Okay? The next number is going to be what? Constant. Then it's going to be the X squared, X cubed, X4. Don't look to the zeros. Okay? Now, if I ask you to write down the result, how are you going to write it down? Which is X to the power 4. There is no 3. There is no square. There is no X. What's the left? Plus 12. Is that okay?
Is that the answer?
Let me finish. This is the quotient.
Oh.
If you go back to the previous one, how much Q of an X? Same thing, right? So this is a Q of an X. Where is the remainder? 3 over the divisor, which is X. Now here is the question. Now, here. Now, if I gave you this part, yes, I gave you this one. Can you get the polynomial? How?
Is that formula?
How are you going to get the polynomial?
Put the
Remember when I told you the next formula? Alpha of X, you can say, okay, it's the divisor times the quotient. I'm going to add the remainder, right? So the divisor is what? X minus 3 times the quotient, which is what? And you're going to add the remainder, which is?
3. Now where you just FOIL it?
FOIL it, add the result, you have to get it back here. Get the idea? We're just going to do the steps. But which one is easier? This one or this one?
That second one.
That's why always they're using this one. But you have to be careful when you set up the result. Start from here. The last number as well, even if it's 0. Even if it's 0 here, the last number is the remainder. Then constant, then X squared, X cubed, and keep going up. Then set up. If it's zeros, you don't have to write it down. Zeros, This one is 0, this one 0, this one 0. Cancel it. Jump from here to the number. Okay? Easier? Let's see how we're gonna solve this one. First of all, do we have missing term? 0x, 1x, 2x, x cubed, x squared, x cubed. So there is no missing term. What's the next step?
Put them in order.
Perfect. That's the important part. You have to put everything in order because if you set up the same thing here, the sentence is going to be wrong. So I have to rewrite this one again as x cubed plus 25 x squared minus 48 x plus 20. And this one is divided by x plus 10. From here, x plus 10 equals 0. That means x equals negative 10. Put negative 10 here. 25, negative 48, 20. Is that okay? That's good. Start working on it. So what's the first step? Don't
Bring it down.
write down the 3. Negative 10 times the 3. Uh-huh. Look up. You're gonna be on the video. So 25 minus 30. 5. Then multiply again. Negative 10 times negative 5. Negative 50. Oh no, 50. Negative 48 plus 50. 2. Negative 10 times 2. Bingo. 20 minus 20. So don't ignore the 0. The 0 is what? The remainder is 0. This one is what? A constant, not cost. Understand. And this one is going to be x, and this one is going to be.
So the first one.
Cool. So now I can write down the polynomial as f of an x equal. R of an x is not R of an x. D of an x is yes or no? D of an x is the divisor. Times what? Times the 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. Do I have to write down the remainder? The remainder is 0. Now look here. That's cool. What happened? How much the degree here? With the original polynomial here or here? How much the degree? 3. What happened? What you did? Check this is polynomial and check what we did. Factor the polynomial. When the remainder is what? 0. When the remainder is 0, that means these 2 is a factor for the polynomial. When the remainder is what? 0. Now, can I factor this one? Yes. You can use a quadratic formula. You can use open 2 parentheses and factor. This is a quadratic. And here's a factor. You get the idea? But the question is, on this question, they gave you the factor, this one. The question, how are we going to find this factor? This was going to be next section. Okay? When we're going to find this factor, use centric division, write down the original polynomial, factor, doing this, the centric division, the result is going to be factor. You got it? You make connection? So always, when the remainder is 0, The two parentheses is going to be factored for the polynomial. Because the next parenthesis is quadratic, I can factor it. And this one I can, it's already factored. You get the idea? That's what we have to learn how to use the centric division. Because next section, we're going to create more than one table until we reach a remainder is 0. When we reach remainder is 0, this one is going to be the solution. Is that okay? That's going to be next section. But I think they give you already example here. We're going to solve. It's telling you just prove that the remainder is -1. Is that the remainder? No. Going to use, of course, this one by using the theorem, which is they're telling you if you see use the remainder theorem f to the -1. F to the -1 by the theorem, so it's going to be x plus 1. By the theorem, this one is the factor. You see with this example, they didn't give you divide this one by which number. So they didn't give you the divisor. So by the previous theorem, they're telling you to prove that f to the -1. F to the -1, it's mean x plus 1. That means x equal -1. So we're going to divide by this number. Okay? We're not going to focus on about the theorem. So x is going to be equal -1. Now, do I have missing term? Yes. I'm not going to write down this one again. I'm going to jump to the. Here's -1. 5, -3. And we have 1, 0, 2, 0, 4, and 3. X to the power 4, x to the power 3.
There's one in between.
6.
Oh, yeah. 6. Perfect. So here's 1. There's -3. Here's 1. Here's 1. There's 2. And then
You forgot the 0 between the 2 and the 1, -1.
for the x.
Yes.
That's a lot of zeros. Fine. It's going to be constant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're gonna write down the first one. -1 times 5 and the 5. Add these together. When you get -5, doesn't mean you have something wrong. No, it's fine. Now, -1 times -5. 5. Add these together. -1 times 2. Add these together. -1 times -2. Add these together. -1 times 2. Add these together. -1 times 0.
Sorry, I'm
0 plus 0. -1 times 1, 0. 0. Add these together. How much the remainder? R of x. This one is the constant for the x. See, I'm not gonna ignore the 0. It's still the constant, but it's 0. This is for the x. This one for x squared. This is x cubed. This one x to the power 4, x to the power 5, and x to the power. Is that okay? So if I need to write down a new polynomial after factor it, it's going to be what? 5x to the power 6 minus 5x to the power 5 plus 4 minus 2x cubed plus x squared. Keep going. Times what?
plus 1.
And the remainder is plus the remainder. Okay. They're telling you prove that square root of 5 is what?
Is a 0 of fx.
I'm not thinking about the remainder, but they're telling you prove that this one is a 0. So what's that mean?
Solution X.
Okay, it's a solution. Let's stick with the solution. The solution, which is mean x equal. No. You said it's a solution, right? So how are we gonna write down? Write down this as a solution. No other thing. No. What are we doing? Write down this as a solution. What's the meaning of solution? No, why x squared? No, you square it, don't square it. So x equal. Remember when we solve the polynomial, we factor it, and then this one is a solution, which is the value of x, right? So it's a solution. If I move this one here, if I write down as a x minus square root of 5, this one's going to be a factor. Before I solve it, right? Equal to 0 and then solve it is going to be a solution. So the question is they're asking you, prove this one is a solution of the polynomial. So we're gonna do synthetic division. Put down everything. You see x equal 5, that's what we're doing here. The same thing. You have missing term. So I'm gonna write down square root of 5. For here now, that's the full part. Have square root. How much am I gonna put here? 1. Let's put the space. -4. -5. And I put the space for a reason. Okay. It's okay. Next step. Write down this. Here's 1. Then tell me. Square root of 5 times 1. That's square. Add these together. That's why I put the space. It's -4 plus square root of 5. Keep it like this. Don't do anything. Just keep it like this. The next step is the important, because we're gonna go back, multiply this one times. How are we gonna multiply it? Do it on the side. Multiplying what? Square root of 5 times what? Oh, I want the whole thing. See? That's what we're gonna do. We're multiplying this number by both these. So we have to FOIL it. Square root of 5 times 4. Square root of 5 plus square root of 5 times square root of 5. Yes? Yes or no? So what I'm gonna write down here. I'm gonna write down -4 square root of 5 plus 5. Is that okay so far? If you have the problem, let me know. What's the next step?
Plus 5 because square root of 5 times square root of 5 is.
Wait. You're talking about which step? Talking about here?
Yes.
Talking about square root of 5 times square root of 5?
Yeah.
When you're multiplying the same root with the
Cancels it
same
out.
number, it's going to be 5 without the root.
Okay.
Okay? Now what I'm gonna do here, add it, right? Add -5 with this one or this one. Well, yeah, because there's no root here. So -5 plus 5 is gonna be 0. So the left is -4 square root of. Is that okay? Now let's go back again. Square root of 5 times -4 square root of 5. Square root of 5 times this one. Just going to multiply this one times this one. So I'm getting -4 times what? Times 5, which is equal to what? Okay. -20 here. See the magic? We get -20. So add these together. Remember what I told you? What they ask in the question? You have a problem here? Have you got the 20? I felt it. How do you get the 20? Because we multiplying square root of 5 times this one, right? I did it here on the side. Now, I can't multiply square root of 5 by -4. I'm going to write down -4 here. But square root of 5 times square root of 5 is going to be 5. Now, can I multiply these two numbers? Is that okay? Remember what I told you before? The question they ask you, prove that this one is a 0, right? What's the meaning of 0? They ask you to prove that this one is a 0, this one is a factor, this one is a solution of the polynomial. If the remainder is the remainder 0? That's it. That means this number, which is this factor, is a factor of the polynomial. You got it? Now, next step, can we write down the new polynomial after we factor the square root of 5? Yes. This one is going to be what? Understand? This one is x. This one is. That means the new polynomial is going to be half of x equal x squared minus 4 plus square root of 5x. Be careful. You have to write down the whole thing for the x. See, I put parentheses. Minus 4 square root of 5 times, what's the factor here? Okay. Here's the next question. We have this polynomial, and we need to prove that x equal ai is a 0 for the polynomial. That means when we use the synthetic division, the remainder should be equal 0. If it's not equal to 0, that means this is not a 0 for the polynomial. Is that okay? So, do you have this term? We put 8i minus 2 minus 1, 128, and then 54. Okay. The first one is going to be goes down 2. Now 8i times 2, 16i. I'm going to write down 16i here. 1 plus 16i. No, that's wrong. Let's go back here. I'm going to give you a hint. The complex numbers, a plus ib or a plus bi. This is the complex number. This is the real part. This is the imaginary part. You can't combine these together. Okay? So if you have 2 plus 6i plus 7i.
It would be 2 plus 13i.
Yes. So you see, I have to combine the imaginary. The 2 is going to be the same. 2 plus 13i. You got it? So when you have 3 and you have 5i, you can't combine these together. So it's going to be 3 plus 5i. When you're trying to add it, just keep it like a real part and imaginary part. You got the idea? So here is going to be 1 plus 16i. that okay? Deal with the I as an X. Only in one condition. We're gonna see that where. But deal with I as an X. Now let's go 8I times the whole thing here, right? We'll do it on the side. I'm saying 8I times what? 1 plus 16I. Gonna FOIL it. 8I times 1, 8I. Now 8I times 16, 128, and I times I squared. Is that okay? Is that okay so far or no? Now, keep in your mind with the complex number, every time when you see I squared is the same amount as -1. Okay? So now here it's 8I plus 128 times what? Multiply -1. So the result is going to be 8I minus 128. You can keep it like this. You can flip it because write down the real number, but both is going to be right. So I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to write down. Write down the same. Okay. Yes or no? Now what's the next step?
Subtract. You gotta-
Yes, we're gonna add. So 128, I'm gonna add it with the 8. I'm gonna add it with. That means going to be just. Is that okay? Now, next step. 8I times 8I. We're multiplying. So 64I squared, right? Which means 64 times -1. So it's going to be negative. I'm going to write down here -64. So add it, how much going to be? So what's that mean? That means, yes, 8I is a 0 for the polynomial. Which is mean x minus 8I is a factor for. This is called the 0 for the polynomial. This one we can call this factor for the polynomial. We can call it 0 of the polynomial. So it's the same thing. Get the idea? Now can I write down the polynomial again? The new one. This is the constant. This is for x. This is 2x squared plus 1 plus 16I with the x plus what? Times
X minus 8I.
Got it? It's okay. It's telling you. It's telling you use the remainder theorem. You see, this is the polynomial, but this one now is what? A factor. It's not a 0. It's a 0, but I have to solve it, right? So what I'm gonna say, x equal -4. That's what I'm gonna use on the central division. So -4 here. Do I have missing term? It will be 6, 11, -60, and 2. Write down the first number, and the 4 times 6, 24. Yes or no? Now 11 minus 24, negative. Now let's multiply. -4 times -13, 52. -60 minus 52, -8. -4 times -8, So how much the remainder? So this one is a factor for the polynomial because the remainder is 0. This one is the constant x for x squared. That means alpha for x is going to be 6x squared minus 13x minus 8 times
Plus 4.
that cool. So that's mean on this one x equal 6. Do I have missing term? So we get that 6 here, 4, 24, 3, 18, -1, 6. Right, the first one is 4. 6 times 4. Add these together. 6 times 0. Add these together. 6 times -3.
18.
Add these together. 6 times 0. Add this one.
1.
6 times -1.
6.
You already factor the polynomial. Now let's check. This is constant. So x cube and x equal 4, right? Now let's write down. Alpha of x equal. I'm going to write down this first. Four x to the power minus I don't know. So can I factor this one? How? X minus 6. Right, I'm going to open two parentheses. Right down here, I need to get -3. So I'm going to say here is 4x squared. And here is x squared. Put down here 1 and here 1. I'm going to put negative here and positive here. That works. 1 times x squared is going to be x squared. 4x times -1. Remember when we do the test? 1 times x squared is going to be x squared. 4 times -1, -4x squared. Add these together. That's the middle term. Now, can I factor it more? Which one? I know you're lost.
I'm just looking how where you factor the 4x4 minus 3x2.
This one?
Yeah.
Let's do it on the side here. It's 4x squared, x cubed. That's the power 4. Minus 3x squared minus 1. How am I going to factor this one? How many terms do I have? 1, 2, 3. It's 3 terms, it's trinomial. But this is the power. This is half of the power. Before, we used to be get x squared and x. It's the same thing. So now trinomial, I can open two parentheses. Okay, 4x to the power 4. I'm going to put 4x squared here. I'm going to put what? X squared here. Now 4x squared times x squared is going to be 4x to the power 4. The other side is 1. I'm going to put 1 here and 1 here. Now I need to check the sign here when I multiply these two terms. And these two terms, I need to get the middle term. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put what? Minus here and a plus here and try it. It's not going to work. Flip the sign. 1 times x, 1x squared. 4 times -1 into 4x squared. Add these together for the middle term. So now check here. Polynomial with degree 5, by using this factor, we factor it to polynomial with degree 4. And then this polynomial or trinomial, we factor to binomial. Now, can I factor this one? X squared minus 1. I can use difference between 2 squares. So I can factor it more. Up of x equals x minus 6. This one is 4x squared plus 1. And I can say it's x minus 1 and x plus 1. See, start from 5, factor at 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can find the solution by just taking each parenthesis equal to the 0 and solve it. This one equals 0, so it'll be 6. This one equals 0 is going to be -1/4, and then square both sides is going to be with an I. We have negative sign. This one here is a 1, and here is what? That's it. That's the whole procedure. We're going to do the same thing next class, but we're going to add 2 steps to figure out which one we're going to use. That's the only difference. Last question. It's telling you write polynomial of degree 3. Okay? Degree 3, that means the highest exponent equal 3. Okay. With 2 zeros. The first 0 equal what? The first 0 equal what? 2. That means x equal 2. Yes or no? Yes or no? The second 0 equal what? X equal -5. Now let's write down the factor. What's the factor of this one?
X minus 2.
X minus 2. This is the factor. What's the factor of this one? X plus 5. Is that okay? With 2 parentheses, they're telling you x equal 2 with what? What's that mean? Don't tell me you forgot. What's the multiplicity? The multiplicity is the power of the factor. Multiplicity 2, so it's going to be 2 here. Now, can we write down the polynomial? X is going to be x minus 2 to the power 2, x plus. That's it. This is the polynomial. How much is the degree for this polynomial? X squared times x.
X.
No, it's cubed. Don't say 3x. X squared times x is x cubed. So it's going to be the power is n equal. That's it. That's the whole thing for this question. Don't forget the multiplicity.